Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary. This time, another game featuring Root QXC as part of his replay pack, which he just released last week. He'll be spawning as the Red Terran in the southwest corner of Steppes of War here, and his opponent will be liquidtyler spawning as the Blue Protoss, one of my favorite Protoss players. Pretty famous for his 1 and 2 base all-in plays, good timing pushes. He has taken down a number of top players and performed quite well in the MLG tournaments, which just concluded last month and for the year. So be interested to see what he's going to be able to do in the future, as he has been practicing with his Team Liquid teammates and always a very solid Protoss player. So I did bring you a QXC replay between him and All About You, a TV2 on Blistering Sands. Encourage you to check that out if you have not yet. It really features QXC's multiple drops and just his multifaceted play. He really puts pressure on his opponent in a lot of different angles and attacks multiple places at once. And we'll see if liquidtyler is going to be able to handle that kind of pressure. We see Tyler throwing down a 10 gateway, so it's a very early gateway, foregoing a bit of early economy here for that first gateway. And what that's going to allow him to do is get down a fast cybernetic score, as we do see him go for a fast assimilator as well. And he's going to start that warp gate tech just a little bit earlier than most Protoss players would if they went for a 12, 13, or 14 gate. We saw Huck used to be famous for his late gateways, often going for a 14 gate, using the first 2 chrono boosts to get out those fast probes, try to establish a bit of an economy before getting out a gateway. And liquidtyler taking the opposite route here, getting out a fast cybernetic score. He'll hope to have his warp gate tech done as soon as possible. Once that does come up, we see both players sending out their scouts. They will meet and give each other a little high five midfield there, as they will be making it their way into the opponent's base. See QXC about to have his first Marine out, building everything very close to home, does have 2 racks, and now pushing that first Marine into position to try to take down this probe. So Tyler's going to be able to see those 2 racks, I believe. He does not see any sort of gas at this point, and QXC is going to be in the base of Tyler. He will see that second gas, and there's not going to be too much Tyler can do about it at this point. He is chrono boosting out a Zealot here, but the Zealot will be slower than that SCV, so QXC is going to have the scouting advantage for this this early game here. Positions 2 Marines at the top of this ramp, and now can really do most anything, getting up 2 gas at once. So these gas finishing relatively the same time. If we check out the income tab, it is 20 harvesters to 17. So Tyler using that chrono boost to his advantage, getting out a number of early workers, but the Mule going to keep the Terran player in the economic game here. Now we see 2 sentries being chrono boosted out here. So Tyler is going to be able to get rid of that SCV and corner a little bit, trying to shut down some of the scouting here. And QXC just going back and forth, kiting the best he can. He really wants to stay alive in this base as long as possible, and to see what the second and possibly even third production structures are for liquidtyler. So we see QXC continuing to call down mules on command here. He does not need to save up anything for a scan at this point, since he does have this SCV still alive in the base. And now we see these sentries moving out with this early Zealot, and they're going to test the front door of QXC. QXC does have 7 Marines at this point, and a Marauder as well. And he is working on STEM research out of that 1 tech lab, also throwing up a reactor. And this Zealot is not going to like the looks of this front door, and getting a good force field there, going to prevent these Marines from taking out that Zealot. And this SCV still alive, going to be able to get all sorts of information here, going to see the 2 gates, and he's going to see this robotics facility complete. It will not be canceled, so Tyler could have canceled that if that SCV had not come up and maybe tech swapped over to another 2 gates, or maybe even a Stargate. But instead going to be forced to continue producing out of this facility, and does have 2 gates and this robo up right now. So also saving a bit of chrono boost. Be interested to see what he uses that for. We do see that Root QXC creating everything very close to home at this point. Does have 2 racks, has an engineering bay up, and also getting a Ghost Academy. A little bit side-blocked or supply capped right now, so needs to get up a supply depot, and producing a missile turret right in his mineral line. So this is going to intercept any sort of observer which makes its way across the field. A lot of players just rally the observer right into the base of the Terran player or the Protoss player. So if you make a missile turret or a cannon, a lot of times you can catch that observer. What you want to do with the observer is as you approach the base, you are going to be able to see that missile turret before it can see you, or before it can at least shoot you. So you want to back away right away. So we'll see if Tyler's going to take control as he is backing away. Oh, but he's going to go down to those Marines. QXC keeping everything very close to home, and he is getting those that Ghost Academy up and should be producing a few ghosts here. Looks like one on the way, and it looks like Tyler is going to take this opportunity to push out. He has one immortal, also throwing down a fast or an expansion here around the 8-minute mark, so producing off of very few production structures, just these 2 gates and the robotics facility, mostly producing observers. We see another SCV coming out here, and it's going to get another swing into the base of Tyler, so he's going to be able to see the production structures still on the 2 gates and the 1 robotics facility here. So nothing more from Tyler, no robotics bay coming out, no additional gates being thrown down. So QXA is going to have to feel good that his opponent's not going to have too much in the way of army, just investing a little bit in this fast expand, and he does have this ghost gaining energy. He has enough for an EMP round right now, going to be very powerful against those immortals, taking down all the 100 shields, and if he can get a well-placed EMP, he can also take down the energy on these sentries. So very important in any sort of early going battle, especially with these zealots. You want to try to force field behind the Terran units, split them in half, let these zealots start working on the units before they can retreat. So QXA doing another scan there, I believe taking down an observer, and now it looks like he's going to pull off a number of SCVs, so he's going to have an attack here. He has 2 ghosts. They do have enough for 2 AMPs, so he wants to position these SCVs out in front, take a little bit of damage, and he does not have a scan on the units of Tyler, so you're going to try to get an EMP, good EMPs on those immortals and the sentries, but the sentries were able to get down a number of force fields, splitting these units. So units are behind, they cannot be shooting for a QXC, but he just has so many units here, a few SCVs even getting in on the fun, trying to take down that last stalker there, and now also producing a bunker. If he is able to get this bunker up, it could be very powerful. He could take down a number of pylons here and keep his opponent up that ramp. We see Tyler pulling off probes, QXC doing his best to kite away from those probes, taking down the Zealot and all those probes there. If we check out the income count, 29 harvesters to 24, so QXC has the advantage, pushing forward, trying to focus down this immortal as well, and may now just pull back, focus down these pylons. As he does get this bunker up, he can load up there. It's going to be very difficult for liquidtyler to break out of here. He's going to have to produce a few more immortals, as he does have those being chrono boosted out right now. But again, off these just 2 warp gates, he invested a lot of minerals into the Nexus and into the into his economy. Lost all those probes, and Tyler just waiting, biding his time here, and he does have to break out of this at some point, going to allow his Nexus to go down perhaps. So using all this time that this Nexus is buying him to warp in more and more units, and we see another bunker going down for QXC, but again, can't fit too much into these bunkers, so if this immortal comes down as a bunker buster, can take these down and perhaps finish up these units pretty quickly here. See QXC establishing his own second, and now pulling back with these reinforcements. May know that this is not the time to push in. He did a lot of damage to his opponent. He knows that his opponent just has those 2 gateways and the robotics, and he does not have an expansion, so pulling back with some units here could perhaps even salvage one of these bunkers and just use the 1. And it looks like liquidtyler preparing, needs to perhaps push out, maybe send a test zealot out to see what his opponent has here. But he is in all sorts of trouble. Still no extra production structures, having to replace a number of pylons there as he is side-capped. And we see QXC sending out Marines all over the map, wants to make sure that his opponent does not have any secret bases up. And at this point, in a very comfortable position, liquidtyler, perhaps waiting a little bit too long, has quite the force out here, maybe expected to meet all of QXC's forces out here, but there's not going to be too much trying to salvage that bunker, but it will go down beforehand. And now Tyler really needs to counterattack. He actually has the superior army at this point, 2,000 to 1,500 now. So if he's able to push out and take down his opponent before these bunkers can get up and running, he can perhaps even up this game. We see a number of SCVs being pulled off the line as well, trying to tank a little bit of damage. Force fields going down, trying to keep these Marines and the Marauders separated from their frontline allies there. and now pushing in, needs to try to focus down these bunkers before they can finish, getting some good force fields, preventing those units from moving forward, but there just might be too much firepower for QXE at this point. Needs to back up these immortals so they don't get taken down, and looks like focus fire from QXE going to be able to focus down all of the units of Tyler, and now Tyler needs to try to save up for both an army and an expansion, so on his last legs here. And QXE just taking the opportunity to repair these bunkers, get his own economy up and running. He has 41 harvesters, now 42 to the 23, so on about double the economy of Liquid Tyler. And Tyler's still just producing off these 2 warp gates, so very interesting. Went for a 10 gate, but he never created more than 2 warp gates. Went for a pretty fast robotics facility and got out some fast observers, but QXE, well placed on those missile turrets, was able to take down those observers, so Liquid Tyler lost map control, lost scouting, and then a good timing push by QXE there, and that's where we are right now as Liquid Tyler trying to get up this nexus and defend his position all at the same time. If we check the army tab, it is 1800 to 550 as Tyler warping in sentries here. They can be used for defense, throwing up force fields as they do bank a lot of energy, and you can really keep your opponent at bay, especially before they get any sort of massive units. We do see QXE does have these medevacs out now, and has some ghosts as well, so more EMPs are in the future between these 2 players, and preparing for a third, taking down these destructible rocks. We have a infantry weapon level 2 being prepared for QXE, so may decide to push out once that 2-1 upgrade does finish. Loads up 2 medevacs here, and has a few Vikings flying wing for these medevacs, going to make sure that they make it to their destination safely. And Tyler doing his best, trying to position these units in a concave so that he can get defending very quickly if it calls for it. Does not have any information right now, does not have any of these towers, does not have an observer in place, and he will not see these medevacs as they move into position. 2 full medevacs going to be quite dastardly if they do drop in the main, could take out a number of probes. QXE moving into position, sending a test marine up here, wants to get an idea of the army of Liquid Tyler. Moving in, and he's going to have a very good idea of what Tyler has. If we check the army tab, it is 3,000 to 1,700, as we see an EMP going off there, and a drop in the main, so Tyler's going to have to decide what he wants to do. Does he want to push out and attack? Does he want to defend? Transferring all these probes off, so a very good reaction on his part. Now looks to push out for a counterattack. Going to meet a lot of these units from QXE. QXE going to stim up, try to do as much kiting as possible. Meanwhile, in the main, QXE is able to take down a lot of the pylons and production structures of Tyler, so Tyler's not going to have anything or any buildings to create more units. Going to have to push out here, try to take on these bunkers, and QXE repairing auto repair on these SCVs. Going to push forward, try to tank with the SCVs as well a little bit, and if he's able to focus down and take down these remaining units of Tyler, it could be a GG. As we see, is stimming up, trying to focus down these immortals one at a time, and it looks like Liquid Tyler, NonY leaving the game there. QXE with that split attack, like we always see him do, very strong in this TVP matchup, dropping in the main, able to take down important pylons and production structures, not even going for that natural, and then just sort of baited Tyler. He backed up, he stimmed up, was kiting Tyler all the way home, and then turned around and really hunkered down in front of those bunkers, forced his opponent to engage on his terms, and just masterful play from this Terran player QXE, really playing Liquid Tyler, NonY, like a master here. Lots of masters, yeah, well, what can you say? So we have QXE defending the early push from Liquid Tyler, and then was eventually able to pierce in there and get some good EMPs, put the pressure on his opponent, get those bunkers up as well, take down that nexus, that expansion, get up his own, and then in the end that drop was all she wrote, and QXE taking down a very strong Protoss player in Liquid Tyler. So I'll go ahead and bring you more of QXE's replay pack, as I do find worthwhile games to bring you. Again, he's got over 50 games. Encourage you, if you're a fan, to download the replay pack and check them out for yourself. If you just want to watch casts, then I encourage you to check out my channel Matron StarCraft at youtube.com. I'll go ahead and bring you more StarCraft 2 action all week long. I've got a week off for Christmas, so really excited about that and want to try to bring you as much great action as I can. Thanks for watching this one. Take care.